Hi, I'm going to share with you a recording of a meeting we had this afternoon. It was an online meeting, and we talked about the subject which might be of interest to you because there is a lot of information covered. So the whole meeting, this whole video will take about 30 minutes, and I hope you will allow time and listen carefully to the information which might be very helpful to you or interesting to you.
I just wonder whether anybody has the experience of chanting and chanting and chanting and not getting the results, and you don't know what is wrong. So a long time ago, I have received this information from a very, very senior member called Target, and since that I was very impressed, and I have been keeping this for over 20 years. And I think it's very, very helpful. This is why today I'm going to share it with you. All right, he's got a lot of points, but after reading his points, I'm going to put in my own view or story or experience to further explain the points. Now, the first point is, he says the power is inside us. Quote, first of all, even if we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, if we think that enlightenment or the power to change our life is somewhere outside ourselves, we are not embracing Nichiren Buddhism, but some cheap imitation. We should never seek the origin of happiness or benefit outside of ourselves. Okay, let me give you an example. If we are single and we want a companion, so we think, okay, if I get a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a companion or partner, I will be happy. So you are placing your happiness on other people, and it's so insecure because people change, situation changes, and those who might seem to make you happy may change, and he may turn around and make you miserable. So the happiness has got to come from our inside. We should feel happy from the inside, no matter what. Now, it's easier said than done because a lot of people are quite negative, and it's very, very hard to be happy. Me, as an example, I was never, ever a happy person. Since from childhood until my adulthood, until my marriage, until my children was born, I was never happy. So after I started to practice Nichiren Buddhism, I really have to seriously chant to be happy. I chant to the Gohonsen that I want to be happy every minute, every split second of the day, so I can share my happiness with other people. So now I can tell you, I am at that stage. I'm really happy, really. Every day when I wake up, I look at the sun, I look at the rain. When I have a piece of toast or some noodles, then I'm very happy. So I hope that this is the stage that we will be achieving. But of course, sometimes I get upset also, right? But because of my chanting, very, very quickly, I get out of it in a few hours. And then I'm happy again. Okay, so the number 2 point, have a clear target. It says, faith in Nichiren Buddhism means a self-motivated drive towards self-perfection. This seeking spirit involves action towards definite targets, concrete goals. We direct our daimoku to the specific areas of our life that we want to improve. Now, the word action, I put in capital letters. So to take action doesn't mean that we're just doing something that we want to do. No. Earlier in my videos, I have recorded a title called Formula for Achieving Goals. I just wonder if anybody has ever listened to this video. But since the word action has been mentioned today, I'm going to repeat what I've written at that time. If those who haven't listened or read it before, it will be good for you. And those who have read it, it's good to refresh your memory also. Now, action is not just simple action. Action carries a lot of activities. The main one, the very first one, is chanting. That is number 1. And number 2 is devote your efforts in Kosen Rufu. Now, having said that, if we chant for something very, very small, like buying a car or something like that, maybe you don't need to do all of this. But if you are chanting for a big goal, like for a partner, to change your health, or to change your karma, then you do need to take all these actions. All right? Devoted efforts in Kosen Rufu. This is what SGI has taught me. Kosen Rufu, help other people. And in helping other people, you're helping yourself because you learn from talking to other people, from encouraging other people, and you are encouraging yourself also. The third point is practice for oneself and others. How? Use our action, words, benefits to set good example, or to show others the greatness of the law so that the others will follow. So when we are... Hi. Okay. Please turn off your mic. When we are practicing Nichiren Buddhism, we in fact are disciples of Sensei and Nichiren. And whatever we do or say or even think will reflect the goodness of the practice. I'm going to quote a very interesting story that I have told a lot of people before. That was when I first started to chant. I knew it was good because I got money out of it after chanting. But then nobody has taught me that what action really is. So I didn't know that I have to change a lot of my bad characters. And then when I asked my sister, who is here today, Yvonne, I asked her to chant. I asked her several times, and you know what she said? If chanting makes you such a bad person, then you better not chant. And since I can still remember, it's 20-something years ago, I can still remember what she said. And since then, I really am very cautious about what I do, what I say, and what I think. I don't want to disgrace this practice. So we want to set good examples to other people to show them how good and how great our law is. All right? So the other point is our own human revolution. Now, what I've said just now also involves human revolution. That is, if we are not happy, if we are not successful, there are aspects in our life that you need to change inside yourself. All right? If you don't change, then your situation will not change. This is what we call human revolution, is to change ourselves. Whatever aspect that makes us unhappy, unlucky, unsuccessful, the cause lies within us, and we have to change. Suppose if your relationship with your son is not good. Right? Now my son is here today, Kevin, right? My relationship, well, we love each other, but we can never communicate. And I didn't know how to behave like a parent. When he was small, I was a very bad dictator. I dictated him everything, what he should wear. I even cut his hair and what he should wear, what he should do. So this is why our relationship has not been very good, although we loved each other. And you know, my son at the age of 15 or 16 told his friend that don't ever come to see my mother. She's a ghost. This is how bad the relationship was. But then, after practicing Nichiren Buddhism, I changed. The members in SGI told me what to do, and Sensei's writing also taught me how to be a good parent. So instead of treating him like a son, I treated him like a friend. Instead of criticizing him, I encouraged him. With the little things he did, I praised him. I complimented him. And of course, people like to be complimented. If you say things to compliment people, people will like you. And I stopped criticizing him. And then, from then onwards, it took me 10 years to build up our relationship and to change my son into a very successful person now. So, a lot depends on our human revolution. And now, my son would ask me to talk to his friends who's got problems. You see how the difference in relationship becomes? Instead of calling me a ghost, he asked me to talk to his friends. So this is the effect of human revolution. Okay, the last point is take practical action to achieve our target. Now, your target will not fall from the sky. If you want a meal, you have to go and cook it. If you want to find a job, you have to send out resumes. But chant first. After chanting, you have the wisdom to know what to do and where to apply and how to apply. Okay, now so much more for action. So the other point from targets writing is constant, sincere prayer. Keep up a strong determination and solid conviction. If our conviction weakens, well, to me, I found in a dictionary, conviction here means firm belief. In our conviction, if our conviction weakens, our prayer turns negative, and subconsciously we feel that the prayer will not be answered. Because we slacken, if even a bit, negative forces will take advantage. Now, to put things in simple terms, if you do not believe that you deserve what you are chanting for, you will never get it. A lot of people, because of a lot of reasons, do not have very high self-esteem. They think, I'm not good, I don't deserve, blah, 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 blah. So if you think this way, nothing good will come to you. This is why we need to practice Nichiren Buddhism, to realize that we are all very good. We are Buddhas, and we have got all the jewels, all the treasure inside ourselves. And it's up to us to bring forth all the treasures so people can see the goodness in us. So don't underestimate yourself. Okay, but to do that, again, you need to practice. You need to chant and take all the actions I've talked about. All right, the next point. Recognize and overcome obstacles. We may easily break our regularity and our sincerity because of events happening around us. Regard each obstacles to your practice as tests of your faith. How strong are you really? Can you recognize what is trying to stop you, and will you continue regardless? Okay, now I'm going to give you examples now. I have read a book called Becoming Happy. The book did say that if you want to become happy, you will encounter obstacles. For example, if you want to lose weight, you will suddenly get a lot of invitations to dinners, weddings, gatherings. So it's really up to you to be strong enough to either turn down these invitations or go and just limit your food intake. So this is your conviction. And another example is, I was encouraged to join SGI meetings at the very beginning of my practice. My senior member said, Lydia, put SGI activities and the Buddhist practice in the center of your life. No matter what happens, SGI first. Like joining meetings, I always try to join as many meetings as possible. And now that because of COVID-19, there are not as many meetings, this is why I'm holding an English meeting and a Chinese meeting online every month, just to share. And I will also try to join other online meetings also. So I really have put the practice in the center of your life. So please try to join as many meetings as you can, because in the meetings, you either encourage people or you get encouraged. So it's only to your benefit that you join meetings. And this is why I've taken a lot of time and effort to remind you guys and to invite as many members as possible to join the meeting, so I can share all the information I have with you to help you live better and happier. Okay, the next point. Are you impatient? Do you think the Gohonzon is magic, as if all you have to do is to snap your fingers, and instantly your wishes will be fulfilled. Now, this is very important. Timing is of utmost importance for anything to have maximum good effect. Being at the right place at the right time means to have good fortune. Your chanting will increase your good fortune. Now I have to correct it. Just by chanting, of course, you will get good fortune. But without the actions I've just talked about, like encouraging people, human revolution, Kozen Rufu, then you will not get the greatest fortune. Now, I'm going to give you another experience.
Here, I want to share with you an experience regarding patience. 20-odd years ago, here in Sydney, I met a lady, and she was from Indonesia. When I met her, she was at the lowest point of her life. She was all crying. She was very miserable, and she told me that she came to Indonesia to earn money to support her 3 children, and she was divorced. And she said she had met a lot of bad people who were very bad to her. And also, because she has been in Australia for 5 years, when she left, her son was only 3 years old. And she said, now I don't even know what my son looks like. So I miss him so much. I miss my children. I'm going back to Indonesia. I don't care about anything now. So I told her, I said, Australia may be a better place to raise children. So I'm going to teach you chanting. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. If you chant, maybe your children can come over to Australia. And she immediately took up the chanting. After that, I went back to Hong Kong for a month. And when I came back to Sydney, I called her again and she was very happy. She said, you would not believe it. After chanting for a little while, I had a gathering with some friends, and I told them, I was all crying, and I told them I would give up everything here, and then I would go back to Indonesia to see my children. I just don't care. And a friend whom I know for some time dragged me aside and said, if you go back to Indonesia now, you will never be able to come back, and you will lose all your efforts and everything. And this person agreed to sponsor her to stay and get a permanent resident visa. So she said it's incredible. It took about a year for the whole process for her to get a PR. And then right after she got her PR, she wanted to apply her children to come over. And this process has taken a long, long time, over a year. And during this time, she constantly called me and said, I don't understand why. I've got a bad headache. I cannot sleep. I don't understand why my children cannot come over. So I just told her, I don't understand why neither. But you just trust and chant that your children can come over. And then 6 months later, another funny thing happened. The Australian consulate in Jakarta was on fire and all the documents were burnt. And she was even more despair. But she called me and said, I've got a headache, blah, blah, blah. And then I just said, just trust that your children will come over. And then a few months later, she was diagnosed with a big tumor in the uterus. And she had to go through an operation to remove her uterus and her ovaries. It might be a big operation, but it's not a dangerous operation. However, the danger was, after the operation, she had blood clot in her legs. And if you have blood clot after surgery, it's very, very dangerous. Because if the clot goes to your heart, then you will die. And she had to stay home for 6 months under special care. Now, at that time, I went to her. I said, look, if you were able to get your children over, if they are over here and you are in such a condition, I don't know whether you are going to die or they are going to die because you can never take care of each other. And at that time, she agreed. The funny thing was, after she recovered, her children got the visas and came over. So this experience tells us that please do not be impatient when your target is not being achieved at the moment, because you have to trust the Gohansen that it will come at the best time. Okay, the next point is when things don't go as you wish.
Sometimes we think that ourselves know what is best for us, and we cannot accept any other result to our prayer than what we want. We think we are greater than the Gohansen, and the Gohansen is our slave that has to obey us. If it does not obey, we slander or we give up the practice. This is a terrible mistake. Now, to give you an example, if we chant, so if you like a guy and got married to the guy called Jack, and in the end you did not get Jack, you got John, and then you say, Gohansen, this is not what I want. You are not as powerful. Blah 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 blah. So this is not right. All right, the Gohansen knows what is best for you, although you don't know what's best for yourself. So whatever comes, if it is through chanting and through the Gohansen, it's got to be the best for you, and we have to trust that. Another simple example is you like an apple, you chant for an apple and you get an orange instead. You say, I don't want orange, I hate oranges. But you don't know that you are coming down with flu and you need the vitamin C in the orange, and this is why the Gohansen gave you an orange. All right, the next point. When you prejudge the Gohansen, we assume that the Gohansen's power is like this or that. We assume limitations to the Gohansen. In fact, the Gohansen's power is boundless, and what you receive is directly corresponding to your own effort and sincere attitude. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. 20 years ago, after I started chanting, I met a friend in Hong Kong. She stayed in Hong Kong for a few years, and her family is in New York. When I met her, sometimes she said, Lydia, I'm going back to New York because I don't like my job and I've not been able to find a good one for a few months, so I'm going to give up and go back home to New York. So I said, okay, congratulations, you are going to reunite with your family. And then later on, she told me, I met her on a Sunday morning. She said, Lydia, I'm now very despair because I find that I don't want to leave Hong Kong because all my friends in Hong Kong, but I cannot find a good job, so I don't know what to do. So I said, all right, I'm going to teach you chanting, and with this chanting, something will happen. And after chanting, if New York is a good place for you, then you will have very, very good news that you want to jump back. But if Hong Kong is a good place for you, then a very, very good job will come before your ticket, before the due date of your ticket. She was going to leave in 30 days. She said, it's not possible. How can I find a job in 30 days when I've done it for several months and I was not successful? So I said, you just don't know. You use your human mind, you use your own knowledge, experience to judge that it is not possible. But I said, if we chant, the power of the Gohansen is so great that nothing is impossible. So I started chanting with her for 10 minutes. And then right after chanting, she said, Lydia, I feel so much better. I said, good. Then please continue chanting. That was a Sunday morning. On the 6 days later, on a Saturday morning, she called me. And she said, Lydia, you would not believe it. Yesterday, which was a Friday, she said, I received a job offer, which I've been wanting for a long time, and now I've got it. So I'm going to stay in Hong Kong. And it's now 20 years. She's still in Hong Kong. Okay? So please don't say that it's impossible. If you chant and practice and you say something is impossible, you are really underestimating the Gohansen. All right? You're prejudging the Gohansen. Now, the next point is very, very interesting. I think a lot of us will sometimes do this. That is trying to bribe the Gohansen. I think especially the Chinese. The Chinese like to do that. Quote, are you making non-negotiable demands on the Gohansen? If I chant for an hour, then you have to give me this or that. Remember that the Gohansen is reflection of Nichiren's life and ultimately your own life in the Buddha state. Rather than trying to bribe or bargain with the Gohansen, your sincere wish for the happiness of yourself and others will give much purer and better results. Chant to achieve rather than to receive. Actually, I think there are some members who also said, you donate money to the Gohansen and you will receive a lot of money in return. Now, I really, really dislike this kind of saying. We make donation to SGI because we want to help SGI to operate, to help more people. Okay? So, please, whatever you do for other people, try not to think of getting your own benefit out of it. You want to encourage people because you want people to be happy. So if you use this, the thought is most important. If the thought is correct, who is turning on the... Can you turn off your speaker, please? Okay. If your thought is to help people and to make people happy in your Buddhist practice, and the benefits come back will be so great that it's beyond your imagination. Next point, fame and fortune. If you are preoccupied with accumulating fame and fortune, you are putting the cart before the horse. When you build up the treasure of the heart through strong practice, you will naturally attract the treasures of the body and the storehouse needed for your happiness. Now, again, how do we build up the treasure of the heart? Simple. By chanting, by encouraging people, by learning, by Kozen Rufu, by human revolution, all this. Years and years, you keep on doing this, you will gain treasure of the heart. If you have treasure of the heart, you are always happy. You send off good vibrations, and people will receive the good vibrations, and they will like you a lot. So, and there comes your good fortune, because people like to deal with you, they give you business, and you will make money, and then you will be very happy because people like you. Next point, slandering. Many of the benefits that we otherwise would receive may be destroyed if we do not guard against the 14 slanders. Now, what are they? Quite complicated, but I'm going to read to you anyway. These slanders are arrogance, negligence, wrong views or the self, shallow understanding, attachment to earthly desires, not understanding, not believing, this is very important, not believing, scowling, harboring doubts, slandering, despising, hating, envying, and bearing grudges. So just try to ask yourself whether you've got any of these weaknesses or the standards. For me, I already got quite a few, but I'm trying to change. Talking about arrogance, I think I'm still a bit arrogant, but I was very, very arrogant before. When I went to SGI meetings, that was 20-something years ago, SGI was not as developed as it is now. The speakers on stage did not know how to put forth their points, and they just slur their words and blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting down below the stage, and you know what I was thinking in my mind? I said, I can speak better than you do. Come on. Now, this is very bad of me, okay? And now I'm being taught to appreciate whatever people do. If it is for the happiness of yourself and other people, we have to appreciate and not look down on them. This I've learned since then. Now, the other thing is complaining and blaming others. Is Michelle online also, my daughter? No, she's not. Unfortunately, because I want to use her as an example. Okay, I'm going to read it first. Ultimately, the responsibility for changing our life and gaining benefits rests with ourselves. If we complain about our situation and blame others for our misfortune, it is a sign that we are waging a losing battle. President Ikeda says that if you have an attitude of complaining, you will destroy your good fortune in direct proportion. Now, if you complain, number one, you are very negative. Number two, you are lessening your energy to solve your situation. Number three, you don't want to take responsibility for the situation. Okay? So, of course, if you do that, you will not have good fortune. If you blame others, then again, you are not changing the situation, because again, Buddhism teaches that whatever bad situation we are in, the cause lies within ourselves. So we really have to look into ourselves. Now, I want to use my daughter as an example. Why? Because 2 years ago, she was employed by some overseas entrepreneurs to run a company in Hong Kong. Now, when my daughter joined this company, it was in a real mess. There were a lot of debts, lawsuits, and the employees were not paid, and my daughter wasn't even paid for 6 months. Life was really, really hard. And she had to, twice, I think her company was being forced out of business because of situations. Now, during all this time, I know it was so difficult for her, but not once had her complained to me about this. The time that when she came to me was, she said, "Mom, I'm in this situation. I'm going to court. Could you please chant for me that I will win?" And then when this critical situation comes, she just called me. She said, "Mom, I'm going to lose the company or whatever. Please chant for me." I have never heard her complain once about her situation. But now, she turned things around. Everything is good now. She's having good business, and she can pay herself, and she can pay her employees. So this is why, try not to complain when you face a very, very bad situation. All right? Lastly, worry and despair. This shows a lack of trust in the Gohonsen and your life. Do not despair over things. Do not worry about things. Rather, concentrate on building a palace of joy in your hearts that nothing can disturb. Okay. Now I wonder,
to attain a state of life like a blue sky above the storm. So all it boils down to trust and faith. If you have faith, then you will not worry. And I have mentioned many times before what faith is. Faith is when you encounter a bad situation, you know you can overcome it. You know you will be okay. When you are chanting for something and it hasn't come yet, you know that it will come. And this is faith and trust. And I hope we all have this strong faith, so we will not be worried, and we will always be happy. Okay, sorry that this video is taking such a long time, and I hope you all gain from it. Bye bye. Thank you.